Hello and welcome to episode 5 of Bookworthy. My name is Chris Rini and it is November 8th, 2022. Alright, I'm showing my age now. Welcome everybody. Welcome to the studio. You know, the light changes so dramatically here in Denmark. I'm going to figure out I'm probably going to shoot this in a variety of different ways and places, you know, over the course of this video series. But for now, let's see, I will be facing south and the sun will be coming in this way. It's a lovely day in Denmark. My wife's out of town on business and I am home with 2 kids. And I thought that today was going to be just a totally awesome day of work. You know, record Bookworthy, make an entire painting start to finish, and draw MMA squared. That was like my big plan for today. I don't know if you're able to hear this, but there's a child in the shower just singing and playing. That's how I was able to get time to record this. My youngest, he is sick. He was homesick yesterday, and he's homesick again today. So, you know, I was lucky yesterday. My mother-in-law is actually visiting at the moment, so she was able to hang out with him in the apartment. I went down to the art school, and I taught my last class of etching. That was really awesome. I really enjoyed it. And now, you know, he woke up this morning and he said, I have a rule, and I'll share this with you about the way I do things with kids sometimes. If a child is able to calmly, courteously, and clearly express themselves, I'm going to try to find a way to say yes, even if I don't really like what they're saying. This morning, kid gets up and he's like, Daddy, I want to stay home. I want to go back. I want to stay in bed, eat breakfast, and take a nap today and not go to school. And I was like, wow, okay. You're going to be that calm, that clear, that also level-headed about the way you request things. I just thought, okay, I guess you're staying home from school today, and I'm going to take one for the team. So here we are. If anybody on Mustache Watch, I did trim it. And I do hate it. It's always one side looks a little better than the other, and it's very frustrating. So it'll be a week or 2 before it grows out to kind of looks a little more natural. I had a fantastic visit to Copenhagen last week. I think I've been telling you that I have some. Let's see, and I promise we will get to the fights and whatnot. Both Rodriguez Lemos and UFC 281. So I went out to Copenhagen. I told you I have a couple opportunities to show my work, and one of them has been causing me a lot of stress. So I thought it was a good time to talk about the act of exiting gracefully from an obligation. This gallery owner, turns out he had been a judo player most of his life, and he really enjoyed my work. And he was like, wanted to give me a solo show. I was thrilled. I was brand new to Copenhagen. I was still living there. And I just said yes. And then my family, we moved to Roskilde. It's about 20 miles away from Copenhagen. But because they have high-speed rail, it's only about a 25-minute train ride. And, you know, you can take your bike on the train. So it's just, I don't know, it's less than 10 minutes from my apartment to the train in Roskilde. And you know, Copenhagen Central Station, boom, you can get that. That city is easy to navigate on a bicycle. It's not very big. And so, you know, I've been feeling like this guy, he was really enthusiastic, and he's not very forthcoming with any details about how he's going to promote the show, what the split is. You know, a lot of galleries do 50-50, 60-40. The guy hasn't been doing anything. So I kind of accepted that. I thought to myself, I'm new here. This is an opportunity. I'm going to make it happen no matter what. I'm in charge of marketing. So be it. So I've been working on this painting series. Most of it is stuff that would normally go in the fine art of violence, but blown up, and maybe I'm trying to keep with a very specific theme. A lot of these transition moments, which are like part grappling, part striking. I love suplexes. I like a lot of throws and things like that. That's pretty cool. A lot of women fighting scenes. I think that's kind of something I like to explore in my fine art work, as opposed to the chronicling of MMA in general. But I just had this moment, I don't know, about a week ago, where I realized, oh man, the paintings that I'm making, they're too big to fit in. I have what's called a Christiania bicycle, which is a tricycle with two wheels in the front, a motor in the back, and a rather enormous plywood cargo bay in the front. I can actually fit my wife and two kids in there. 200 and I think 250 pounds I can carry, I think I can carry about 250 pounds in the cargo bay. So I was like mentally like, I can do this. I'll just ride to Copenhagen with my paintings in there. So be it. And I had this realization that some of the paintings are too big. Great. They're not too heavy, but they're dimension-wise, they're too large. All right. So I'm thinking about getting a truck or calling a friend of mine over here, and we rent a trailer and drive into Copenhagen. That sucks, but I'll do it. Then I realized that not only is this guy not going to do any marketing, he's calling it a pop-up show. It's 1 week, and now I don't think he's going to do... We haven't talked... He's not getting back to me about anything, details-wise. Like when to hang, when to take down. And then I think the straw that broke the camel's back is that he's not telling me anything about like... you go to a gallery, you expect to have alcohol and something to snack on. And now I'm like, I got to do that too. This is all just cutting into time that I could be in the studio. I could be promoting it. Now I got to organize all this other stuff. So I've become kind of friendly with this far more established gallery. And being a new person in town, being from New York City, maybe you can tell I'm a gregarious person. I was able to kind of become friendly with them, the gallery owner. I asked her if I could come in one day and just talk to her about what I've got going on here in Copenhagen and Denmark, and just a little career advice. And we sat down. She was very generous with her time, sat with me for about 90 minutes. And I told her, I've got this solo show coming up here in Roskilde, not the Copenhagen one. And I also have a public mural that I'm going to do in early 2023. And, I explained all the frustrations I have with this gallery, and she asked me all those questions. What's the split? What are the promotional things? And the answers are either there's nothing or he hasn't told me anything yet. And she was like, look, if you were new here, if you were young, I would say go, do it. Do whatever it takes to get that on your CV, which is what they call a resume here. But you got a lot of shit going on, like, just cancel. Just forget it. Don't waste your time. You're not gonna. This isn't what you need to be spending your time on. And it felt really good to talk to someone who is in the business, not my wife, who's whenever you have an emotional relationship with somebody, there's so much that they can give advice, but it's hard. It's not easy. So to hear somebody who's less emotionally invested in my day-to-day life give like very practical advice, and be like, okay. And I was like, good. And then she hit me up with like, look, if I got a group show coming up and I think your work fits, would you like to be part of it? Hell yeah. Then she hits me with this bookshop. It's like kind of a boutique art bookshop, Art Mondays. A guy named Jakob runs it. He's an awesome guy. You should check it out. I pull it up on GPS, and it's like a 6-minute bike ride away from her gallery. Boom, shake hands, thank you. She gave me a ton of other good advice that I have to follow up on. And I went and met this guy, Jakob, and I saw the Art Monday, art bookshop, and it was fascinating, lovely place. And I Jacob and I are talking about maybe doing a Fine Art of Violence Volume 4 book launch there next spring. So great news. I go to the other gallery afterwards, see the owner, shake hands, and be like, look, I can't do this show. I got a mural. It's gonna pay. I got some money to make. I gotta go do this. And he was like, whoa, how much are you gonna make? I told him what I'm gonna make, and he's like, oh, that's good. All right, yeah, shit, yeah. And he knew that like there was no way that his clientele could pay me what I'm gonna get for this pop-up show. I mean, if he has clientele, it's really hard to understand. His gallery functions very much like a school as much as it does a gallery. And I was really anxious about going there. I really wanted to just write him a text and be like, peace out. But I knew that's really bitching out on things, you know. I don't mean that in a misogynistic way. I just can't think of the right word, but like a spineless way to go out, you know, let's say that. So that's my story about exiting gracefully. I felt the anxiety about having too much on my plate, and I went outside for advice. I got advice that, you know, I felt, you know, was professional, not emotional. And then I just went to the guy and was like, look, I'm not going to do this. And he was fine. With no bridges burned. So it was a good experience overall. It was a great day in Copenhagen. You know, kind of not so nice weather. Honestly, November 1st, that's it. Party's over here. It's a glory that I have sun coming down on me right now. But yeah, okay. Let me not draw this out. I enjoy chatting with you about what's going on in my life. And if you guys ever want to hear about things, please let me know. But let's move on to UFC Fight Night. Marina Rodriguez versus Amanda Lemos. I gotta admit, I was hyped to see Marina make her way into the title. I was very disappointed in the results. I didn't think it was the worst stoppage. I understand her frustration. I understand the opinion by some people that it's like, I don't know, if that was a couple dudes out there, I think it would have taken longer. And I'm inclined to agree. At least in terms of it being a standing TKO. Obviously, we just saw Sean Brady take the same one, and I think we can all agree that Sean Brady ate a lot more damage, impact, if we are going by the judges' termination. But, you know, look, I get it. I get her frustration, but I also get why Jason Herzog made the stoppage. You know, it wasn't the worst. I think if we want to get into the nitty gritty, to me, like, she was vaguely defending herself, but her arms were way out there, like Frankenstein style or mummy style, you know, like elbows, you know, almost straight. You know, nothing was tucked. I mean, she eventually tucked and covered, but you know, that was a rough one. I was thinking to myself, maybe, man, Lemos should have gone to the body in the midst of that flurry, but que sera. Anyway, that's going in the book. Yeah, that's it. Lemos has a very interesting year getting submitted by Jessica Andrade, and then rallying back with 2 stoppages in a row. So she's made a nice name for herself this year. Marina Rodriguez, you know, when I look back on it, it was her last couple or two fights. Yan Xiaonan, and you know, that was difficult. I understand that was a close fight, and it was not a robbery in the least, but she definitely did not look as dominant as she has in her previous 3 wins. So maybe this was, to quote Patrick Wyman, who was one of the best MMA journalists we've ever had, who wisely left the industry because he's far too smart. A regression to the mean, her exceptional performances against Hebas and Watterson and Dern, now kind of getting pulled back down to earth a little bit against Yan Xiaonan and now Amanda Lemos. It's kind of a bummer, but I've grown to enjoy narratives that spread across multiple books. You can follow the trajectory of someone's career. I think it makes it a richer experience. So be it. The only other fight on that card, the only other fight, actual fight, performance notable was that of Neil Magny. I enjoyed his fight against Daniel Rodriguez. That was banger. It was unfortunately spoiled for me. I think I looked at social media or something, and it was like, I should have been a little more diligent. I'm always diligent about the main event, but I slipped up on the co-main in terms of spoilers. So totally enjoyable. I was impressed with D-Rod. Like, he kind of sent Magny staggering back across the cage, banging against the fence over and over and over again. Magny's the kind of guy who takes a lot of damage, and I'll be honest, that guy wears it well. The people who I think have truly, really smashed him, I think it was Ponzinibbio and RDA. It's interesting, he can't seem to deal well with leg kicks and dominant grapplers. I mean, obviously this year, I feel like Neil Magny, even though he doesn't win every single fight, he is the most consistent fighter on the UFC roster in his ability to perform up to his level, meaning that he separates, the term gatekeeper is so derogatory. I understand anyone's frustration because there's always, there's the gatekeeper to the top 10, the gatekeeper to the top 5, the gatekeeper to the stars, that sort of thing. Magny has some sort of consistency to him. He has some sort of, he's a high level fighter. I heard this about somebody once. He wins all the fights he's supposed to, and he loses all the fights he's not supposed to win. Anyway, so that's a long and short to say that he got worked by Shavkat Rakhmonov, who is very slowly, deliberately stalking up the rankings. I know that he's not getting put in title talks so profoundly. I think that's because there's a bit of a logjam with the desire for people to see Khamzat Chimaev and Colby Covington fight or that sort of thing, and what's Usman going to do next and all that stuff. It's up to me, not up to me. I don't know. Let's see how it goes. I really enjoyed watching Miranda Maverick, use her wrestling and overpower Shana Young. I'm working on a suplex piece from that fight. We'll see how that goes. As for UFC 281, we might have to wait for Thursday to get into that dialogue because we're already getting up to the 18-minute mark here. So be it. I guess I'm just a chatty Cathy today. I jokingly said this on Bloody Elbow, but I'm going to say it here now. Because of all the really questionable advice for young men about how to view and treat women, I thought I would share some of my own thoughts on how to have a healthy relationship. I don't think that's a talking point for a lot of these gurus, How do you have a healthy relationship? I think so much of it is, concentrated on the next 5 years of your life. So I will say this. About a little over 10 years ago, I went on a meditation retreat to kind of clear my head. I'd gotten divorced the previous year, and I was thinking about how to tackle the rest of my life, and I realized, I always talk about this in terms of my artwork and a theme and all that stuff. But the other thing is that I realized I was supposed to get married and have kids. I was supposed to give my life to somebody else. I couldn't dedicate my life to self-gratification. I would not become a well-rounded human being. I would not experience satisfaction. I can take care of dopamine, but I cannot by myself achieve serotonin. And I think that one of the ways our society or these gurus or whatever, like we're definitely looking for like gratification. We're trying to sell people gratification, but I don't know if can you sell someone contentment? Can you sell someone peace of mind? Not really. Not unless you're selling fear, and then you're pitching fear and selling a solution to it. Now, I will say just the very first part of my theory on how you might want to pick a mate. And the reason I think it's worth sharing is because I feel like this advice can be given to a man or a woman. Now, I was listening to Luke Thomas recently, and someone asked him for advice on a good male role model. He just had the best response, where it's like, if it needs to be a man, to give you advice, like, I don't know, that's a questionable perspective already. Like, smart is smart, good is good. Does it matter what's between someone's legs for you to care what they have to say, or do you to feel like they're the person you need to hear the advice from? So I'm going to tell you this. You date for good, and you marry for bad. This is at the very core of what I feel. And I'm just sharing this with you because that's life. You want to play video games, see movies, go to concerts, do drugs, have sex, read books, go travel. These are good things. Right? For the most part. They can go bad, but on the surface, these are things that people often do for personal enjoyment. I could probably do a lot of those things, if not all of them, with a lot of people. And inevitably, we date for those reasons, to share these good things, good times. What I came to realize was that the person that you can share your good times with, there's a lot of them because you feel good. It's similar to like when a team in a team sport, when you're winning, like whatever you're doing must be right because you're winning. And maybe you don't like your teammate, but you win together. You're like, all right, it's cool. But what do you do during the bad times? And as I've gotten older, and especially I watch my parents get older, have kids. Buy a home. My kids have had surgery. You have to consider the idea of burying your parents. But taking out a loan with somebody. These things are profound experiences that sit within you. You don't get to be like, that was a great show, that was a great concert, shut it down, let's go to sleep, let's, wake up the next day. Sometimes these things, you can't shake them. And I realized that the person you marry is the person that you realize you want next to you when those bad things happen. And this has nothing to do with looks. It has a little bit to do with money, but not as much as we might realize. You want the person standing next to you during the hardest times of your life. You're going to die. Your partner's going to die. You're going to both experience illness. That person that you can do those things with, that's that's marriage, you know? The whole cook clean, be good in the sack, wear high heels. I mean, what does that matter? You know, when your kid goes under the knife, what does that matter when you say like, all right, I'm going to borrow 6 figures to secure our future and, you know, live in a place and put down roots, you know? So I'll wrap it up there. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this theory, which is non-monetized. I would also like to say that chrisreaney.com is where you can find the Fine Art of Violence books. I am on Patreon. You can support me and the show by visiting Cotton Bureau. I will put links for everything down in the description. I'm on Twitter all the time. I might not be one day if that thing goes up in flames. If I have to pay $8 a month just to be found in search engines, that will be a questionable moment in my life. But till then, thanks for joining me. Take care of yourself, and I will talk to you on Thursday.